How is everything with you and your play?
No, the play is great. We're rehearsing right now, but I went through something crazy with my friend Frank.
What?
I wrote the first draft of the play, so I sent it to him. And he's this French English actor. His mother's English, his father's French, so he's fluent in both languages. He speaks
nice.
like Spanish and German. And we were together in 2 plays and 3 movies.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
You know him really well, huh?
Yeah. And it's like the mid 60s, very, very nice, very interesting. So I sent it to him and said to have a feedback, and he was like, Isabelle, the play is great. I want to help you produce it. We're going to polish it, and we're going to find some finance for it. And he was really into it. And I was so happy because it was my first feedback, and I really trust his judgment. He's someone very smart. And so the next day, Nicole's kind of calm, but
is that
any moment. No, it's not her. So, and I was like, great, he says, well, would you come to New York? Can you fly? I says, no, I can't fly. I have the kids, and, Jonathan is directing this TV show, and says, I'll come to you. I love the place so much, I'll come to you. You would let me direct it, would you? And I'm like, okay, because I thought I would direct it, and Jonathan would help me, But then when you have someone so connected, he has a lot of connections.
Yeah.
And he's passionate and he has a name. So you're like, okay, I didn't say much. And then like 2 days later, he was already here, and he stayed in his friend's house. He stayed in Anne Marie and Victor Berg. Have you heard of them? They were producers, now they're retired.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, they're like, old producers.
Yeah.
And they have this giant house in Bel Air. So he's staying in their guest house, which is twice the size of my house, all for himself. And we decided to rehearse there. So the first day he came, we went to the restaurant, and, he was very excited and talking. And he was like, oh my God, I bought so many books about all these men. I'm so excited to play all those men. And I'm like, oh my God, he wants to play. He wants to act. And I was like, Frank, I was thinking you would direct and produce, but not act. And he was like, oh, come on. Who doesn't want to play Kennedy? Everybody wants to play Kennedy. All those men, it's so exciting. And he's kind of, he used to be a heartbreaker, but now he's like a little fat. He's got this huge bag under his eyes, like huge, massive, and so he can play Rasputin maybe, but Kennedy or young Errol Flynn, no way, Anyway, so, he was so excited. I didn't say anything. Watch him, eat his chicken salad and drink gallons of wine. So I went home and I saw Jonathan. I was like, Jonathan, this is a big mess. It's an awful mess. He wants to direct and he wants to play all the men. And Jonathan was very positive. And he said to me, well, maybe they can be a little older when they meet the woman. And so we started laughing about imagining this geriatric play, and we needed to tour assisted living places for that, So we laughed a lot, but then I started to cry because it was just a big mess. This guy is all positive and love the play, wants to do it, and I don't want him to do it anymore.
No, he's going to ruin it.
Yeah, so we started to work, and I could see he was trying to always says maybe the character can lean on to something, or maybe can be seated. I noticed that he had back problems.
So he's finding reasons to rest the entire play.
Yeah.
I'll lean here.
I'm like, okay, why not? Anyway. And so we started to talk, and he had great ideas beside that. I was not completely oh my God. He was really with so much energy.
Yeah.
And then he was talking, and then he went and I was like, what's going on? He says, I think this house has a ghost. I was like, what? Yeah, there is a ghost. He followed me yesterday through the living room and then through the bedroom. There is a ghost. I says, how can you tell it? He says, well, I can feel him right behind me, and I can feel his breathing down my neck. I can feel it. And I was like, are you sure? He says, maybe you can ask Anne-Marie or Victor about it. And he says, well, I'm going to have a dinner with them tonight, and I'm going to ask them. Anyway, the next day I come, he's all shaken and pale, and he's like, Isabelle, I figured it out. You know what? Anne-Marie told me that there was an actor who lived here in the 30s.
No way.
And he hung himself.
What?
Yeah. And I said, oh yeah. She says, yeah. And she said a lot of guests have already felt him and even saw him.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say he was crazy, but he's
no,
not.
No.
There's actually...
So she said that.
Yeah.
And he showed me like where he hung himself in the corridor going to the kitchen. And I was like, okay.
That's creepy.
And he said, last night he followed me again, and it was like he was breathing so loud. I had to wrap myself into sheets so I couldn't feel it, but I could hear it, like this heavy bowl breath, like.
That's so scary.
Anyway, so we went through more and more, and then suddenly it was like, I have an idea. There has to be a ghost in the story. One man is a ghost, and she can find her true love. She can be with him because he's a ghost. And I said, you know what, Frank, I mean, it's already a fairy tale. We're already time traveling. All those guys are kind of ghosts as they're dead, and I was like, no, but this is beautiful. And then she falls in love with a ghost. I says, who is this ghost anyway? It's a random guy, so they're all hysterical figures. And then I was like, no, it's the ghost, like the ghost in the guest house, and the way it was going. And when I came back home, I was crying again.
Oh,
and I said to Jonathan, I mean, what do I do? He says, wow, this guy is ruining your play.
Yeah.
You have to tell him, this is not the play I want to play. I don't want this, I don't want that. And so you always let people stomp all over you, And I was like, no, that's not true. And then I'm like, yes, it's true, he's right, because in a way, he was saying to me, Frank was saying to me, that could be beautiful, this story, they fall in love, and maybe she can kill herself. And then, because she can't find love, true love. And then she finds true love when she's a ghost, because he's a ghost too, and then they spend all this time together. And we're like, this is kind of starting to be completely freaking me out,
that's
all these stories.
That's not
so
your
Jonathan
story.
said, you can't go that way,
No.
and... But I was like, maybe it's a good twist. Maybe we can try that again, because he was so persuasive. And I said, let's try it. He said, yeah, I'm gonna, type it. And I said to Jonathan, this is the way it's going. He says, okay, give it to me. I'm going to read it. At least give me the end. And I was like, well, Frank is typing it. And he freaked out. I was like, what? So now he's writing the play also? On top of that, he's writing the play. I said, no, he's just typing. I don't like to type. He likes to type. He's not writing, he's typing. But again, he was right, And so anyway, we had more info about the ghost. It was an actor from the 30s, and he hung himself because he moved to California to make it in the business. And the owner of the house made it. He became like a head of a studio, and the guy was his chauffeur.
Okay.
Yeah. And she said, I have a book somewhere, I have to find it, or maybe we can find it in the library. A book about, the owner was a very famous guy, I don't know his name. And she said, I think there's a picture of the chauffeur. Because, Frank was starting to be completely like, I need to know more about this ghost. Maybe he wants to harm me because... I don't speak about him enough, or because he wants to tell me something. And I was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want you to put him in the play. I was trying to use
manipulate
it. Anyway, so they left to the library. I stayed alone. I was in this beautiful guest house. But
were you worried to be alone there?
You know what? I have to say, it's a good question. Because it's this... like 1920s old house with like beams and arches, and I was trying to not think about it, and I was starving, so there was scones, and she had brought some scones. So I ate the scones and kind of lay down. I was like,
scones alleviated your fear.
yeah, I think I escaped in sleep. I was so freaked out.
Good food means.
And then someone got in, and it was a handyman.
Okay.
Like Latino guy. And I look at this guy and I'm like, he's my hero. He's the guy from my play. He's the Argentinian carpenter.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, miss, I need to go upstairs. I have to fix something on the balcony. I was like, yeah, just go. I'm just a guest here. I don't want to bother you. And I was like, it's him.
Wow.
So it was so ironic.
Yeah.
And in the play, he's the true love. And that's what I kept saying to Frank, you know, because she falls in love with someone real, not with a ghost.
Right.
I mean, the soul
It doesn't
thing
make
was...
sense.
So he went upstairs, and I could hear him like working and like hammering and sewing and everything. And then I read what Frank had typed. And it was like madness. It was terrible. There was this big monologue about this Shakespearean monologue, like about the ghost starting to like, you know, and when I was, and then the woman is laying down, she fainted, she's half dead, and he's like doing this big monologue. And I'm like, okay, my play was just fun and light. Anyway, and then I didn't hear anything for a long time, and I wanted to see the guy again, because he fascinated me, you know, even though he was dressed, he was like this kind of cowboy thing, very earthy.
He was hot and sexy?
Yes, but he was very nice.
Yeah.
And he had this big smile, and, you know, he was really like very positive.
So it was
vibe.
Felt good to be around him.
So I went upstairs. Yeah. Nobody. And I was like, okay, there's one way. The stairs were the only way you go down.
And you didn't hear him come down.
There. I heard him like,
What
there was
happened?
nothing. It was as neat as before.
What do you think happened?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Maybe there was maybe I dreamt it. Maybe I was like, she put some marijuana in the scone, so I don't know.
Maybe the ghost made you have a hallucination.
I don't know.
That's weird.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Maybe there was, a way out.
Yeah.
So Anne-Marie and Frank came back, and he was over the top. He was like, "Yeah, it's incredible. This is an amazing story. Look," he showed me the picture of the house, of the owner, and there was one very grainy picture of the guy who was in the book because he hung himself. And he was like, "Can you imagine this story? Those two friends, one wants to make it and the other one can't, and might have eaten him alive, and then he committed suicide. This is the story I want to see. This is a movie I want to make." And I'm like, "You want to make a movie?" "Yeah, Isabelle, I'm so sorry, but I can't do your play anymore. I have to tell this story. That way I was trying to put my story in your story, but it doesn't work. I'm so sorry." I'm like,
you're like, "Thank you
I'm
so
rid
much.
of him. Thank you. I don't have to kill myself. I don't have to kill him." Because even Jonathan was like, "Well, we have to kill him to get rid of him." Anyway, so that was so good. I was so happy. So I'm, if you think you have to do it, just do what you feel. I was so relieved.
I love it.
So it's funny because he stayed there for like a month. He flew his wife. He stayed there. He says, "Yeah, the ghost he felt the ghost, but he was very positive. He felt it once in a while, like a little presence, like a very nice presence." I'm like, okay. And I went to see my friend Brad, who had thought about way before Frank all the story. He was a great actor, fun to work with. He's like mid-30s, so he can do younger, he can do older, you know.
Yeah.
And we started to rehearse. I'm directing it with Jonathan. So
wow, you're doing it together?
Yeah.
And it's going okay?
And it's going great. And it's kind of pulled us back together.
Wow.
Working together like that. Yeah. And we're going to open like in a month in a small theater in North Hollywood.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
So that's great. Yeah. And we're totally in the middle of, but which is great. It's like suddenly we understand why we fell in love with each other, because you have to do something together. It's not about the kids and about all the
it's about
practical
doing something
stuff
together and creating
and he's
something.
funny, he's light, he can handle situation.
Who did you get to produce it?
Well, we found this funnily Frank really helped us.
Oh, he did?
Yes,
How?
through through a connection he had, and also Jonathan said to me, "Well, you should, have it." Sandra read it. Sandra, it's this couple that at the party I didn't want to go
Yes.
to last time.
Yes.
And they are producers. And I was like, I don't like them. I don't see what.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, you know what? Once in a while you have to give in something if you want your marriage to continue.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll meet her.
Okay.
Just let go. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, stop fighting for your territory. I'm like, okay. And then I called her. She couldn't be nicer. And she started with theater. She went to see a rehearsal. She went
to one of your rehearsals?
Yeah.
Wow.
She loved it. They both came with her husband, which is still a little annoying, but way less, because he loved my play. And she's like, first they might help with, the advertising and everything.
Wow.
And then she said that would be a great TV show. It's a great idea for a TV show. Because,
every week could be a new guy.
Yeah.
It's like every episode
yeah,
is a
or even
new...
small ones, or, and so it's all good. It's all good. And Frank is still writing there. And my Argentinian carpenter, I don't know where he is.
He may have been a fantasy of yours.
Yeah, I have no idea. No. Yes, it's Nicole.
Oh my gosh!
Look
Let's go
at
see
her.
her. The baby.
I think she's with the baby.
Aw.